Before she was the Avenger known as Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff was a shadow. Her story begins in the chaos of the Soviet Union during the Cold War, a period when allegiances were fragile and survival often meant compromise. Born Natalia Romanova, she entered a world defined by secrecy, fear, and ruthless ambition. From an early age, her natural athleticism and intelligence drew the attention of Soviet operatives, who saw in her the potential to create the perfect spy. Her childhood was not her own. Recruited into the infamous Red Room, a covert Soviet program designed to train elite female operatives, Natasha's life became a regimented cycle of discipline, indoctrination, and transformation. The Red Room was no ordinary training facility. It was a machine that stripped away innocence and replaced it with precision, skill, and unwavering loyalty to the state. Every hour was accounted for. Martial arts drills, weapons training, espionage simulations, psychological conditioning. By the time she was a teenager, Natasha was fluent in multiple languages, a master of hand-to-hand combat, and an expert marksman. In the comics, her backstory carries an almost mythic weight. Created by writer Stan Lee, scripter Don Rico, and artist Don Heck, Black Widow made her debut in Tales of Suspense No. 52, 1964, as a Soviet antagonist sent to seduce and destroy Iron Man. At first, she was an elegant femme fatale draped in a veil of mystery, a villain whose motivations were tied to Soviet interests. Yet even in her earliest appearances, seeds of complexity were planted. She was not merely a weapon of the state. She was a woman navigating the thin line between duty and personal morality. Natasha's transformation from enemy to hero was gradual, a journey that unfolded across decades of Marvel storytelling. Her defection to the West came after deep disillusionment with Soviet ideology and the manipulations of her superiors. In various comic arcs, she found allies among the Avengers, S.H.I.E.L.D., and even individual heroes like Hawkeye, who played a key role in convincing her to change sides. Her transition was never simple. Trust had to be earned, and for Natasha, redemption was a constant battle against the ghosts of her past. The Marvel Cinematic Universe introduced Natasha Romanoff in Iron Man 2 2010, portrayed by Scarlett Johansson, disguised as Natalie Rushman, an assistant to Tony Stark. Natasha quickly revealed her true identity as a S.H.I.E.L.D. operative. The film captured the essence of her dual nature, the lethal efficiency of a trained assassin, combined with the charisma and intelligence of a seasoned spy. In later films, her role expanded far beyond espionage. She became the Avengers' quiet moral anchor, often making decisions based on human cost rather than strategic gain. Her skill set in the MCU mirrors her comic counterpart: unmatched martial arts abilities, expertise in espionage, and mastery of an array of weapons. Yet what sets her apart is her adaptability. Whether infiltrating enemy headquarters, negotiating with volatile allies, or holding her ground against superpowered adversaries, Natasha always operates several moves ahead, like a chess player who sees the entire board. The tension in her character comes from the weight of her history. In both comics and film, Natasha is haunted by the Red Room and the manipulations that forged her into a weapon. The MCU expanded on this with references to her past missions, cryptic hints about the Dreykov's daughter incident, and a quiet acknowledgement of the lives she had taken. These moments remind audiences that beneath her calm exterior lies a relentless drive to atone for actions that can never truly be undone. By the time of the Avengers 2012, Natasha had become a key player in the superhero community. Her relationships with Clint Barton, Steve Rogers, and Bruce Banner added depth to her portrayal, revealing vulnerabilities and loyalties that contrasted with her otherwise guarded nature. Yet even among gods, geniuses, and super soldiers, Natasha never appeared overshadowed. She brought a grounded, human perspective to a team often caught in world-ending crises, making her one of the most relatable members of the Avengers. Her comic book arcs have often explored similar themes. In solo series and crossover events, Natasha confronts remnants of the Red Room, dismantles human trafficking rings, and outwits intelligence agencies. These stories often blur the line between superheroics and espionage thrillers, placing her in morally complex scenarios where the right choice is rarely clear. Part 1 of her biography is The Foundation, the transformation of a Soviet weapon into an Avenger. It is the story of how a life defined by manipulation and control became one of choice and purpose. Natasha Romanoff's journey from shadow to hero is a testament to resilience, adaptability, and the enduring human need for redemption. By the time Natasha Romanoff solidified her place within the Avengers, her reputation as one of the most skilled and unpredictable operatives in the Marvel Universe was unquestionable. But her story did not simply shift into the light after joining the team. The shadows of her past continued to follow her, shaping every mission and relationship in the comics. Natasha's post-defection years are marked by a constant tug-of-war between her loyalty to her new allies and the deep-seated instincts honed during her time as a Soviet operative. While the Avengers provided her with purpose, they could never fully erase the Red Room's conditioning. In the Black Widow, Deadly Origin storyline, readers see how the ghosts of her past, former comrades, betrayed allies, and unresolved missions haunt her. These narrative threads create a portrait of a woman in constant motion, always moving forward but never truly able to escape the weight of what she has done. The Red Room was not an institution one simply left. Its tendrils stretched across the globe, its leaders determined to reclaim or destroy any who tried to defy them. Natasha faced repeated assassination attempts, elaborate traps, and psychological warfare designed to break her resolve. In one arc, she discovers that the program has continued, training new generations of deadly agents. Her mission becomes personal, dismantling the Red Room entirely, so that no one else endures what she did. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Natasha's battles are not only with global threats, but also with her own identity. Captain America, the Winter Soldier 2014 provided one of her most nuanced portrayals, acting as Steve Rogers' partner in uncovering a Hydra conspiracy within S.H.I.E.L.D. Natasha found herself questioning the very institutions she had come to trust. The film leaned heavily into espionage thriller territory, echoing her comic book roots. Her pragmatic, morally flexible nature balanced Steve's unwavering idealism, creating one of the most compelling dynamics in the MCU. Her role in Avengers Age of Ultron 2015 added layers to her character, showing glimpses of her Red Room indoctrination through haunting flashbacks. Audiences saw her childhood stripped away, her choices reduced to survival, and the emotional scars left behind. This vulnerability deepened her portrayal, reminding viewers that beneath her composure was a woman still coming to terms with the person she had been forced to become. The comics similarly explored this duality. In Black Widow, the itsy-bitsy spider and Homecoming, Natasha walks the line between hero and operative, often undertaking missions where victory comes at a moral cost. Her decisions are rarely about clear-cut justice. Instead, they involve calculating risks, manipulating situations, and making sacrifices others would not. This shades her as one of Marvel's most morally complex characters, neither fully idealistic nor coldly ruthless. Her relationship with Clint Barton, both in print and on screen, serves as an emotional anchor. In the MCU, their shared history, hinted at with cryptic references to events in Budapest, adds depth and mystery. Clint is one of the few people who understands her completely, someone she would risk everything to protect. This loyalty is mirrored in the comics, where their partnership often transcends missions and becomes a rare source of personal trust for Natasha. In Captain America: Civil War 2016, Natasha's moral flexibility comes into sharp focus. Faced with the Sokovia Accords, she initially sides with Tony Stark, advocating for oversight as a means of accountability. Yet when the conflict escalates, she ultimately aids Steve Rogers, proving once again that her loyalty is to people, not institutions. Her decision in Civil War mirrors her comic book philosophy: the mission matters, but so does the individual, and she will always make her own choices. By this stage, Natasha's presence in both comics and film had evolved beyond the role of the spy or the assassin. She had become a strategist, a leader, and in many ways, the moral center of the Avengers. But even as she fought alien invasions and dismantled global conspiracies, her greatest battles were internal. The question that lingered was whether she could ever truly leave her past behind, or if it would define her forever. As the world around Natasha Romanoff shifted into an era of heightened superhuman conflict, her role became increasingly vital yet fraught with impossible choices. In both comics and on screen, the tension between her need to protect others and the ruthless efficiency that defined her training reached its peak. Every move was a delicate balance of strategy, deception, and sacrifice, a game she played better than anyone. yet one that left her isolated in ways few could understand. In the comics, this era marked some of Natasha's most uncompromising missions. Stories like Black Widow, No Restraints, Play, and The Name of the Rose showcased her willingness to cross lines that traditional heroes would not. She dismantled criminal organizations from within, assumed new identities to infiltrate enemy ranks, and eliminated threats with surgical precision. She was no longer simply reacting to danger, she was anticipating it, dismantling it before it could erupt. Yet such preemptive action came at a cost, often alienating allies who struggled with her pragmatic morality. In the MCU, her arc took a more personal and human turn. After the devastation of Avengers: Infinity War 2018, Natasha emerged in Avengers: Endgame 2019 as a leader desperately holding the fractured remnants of the team together. This was a Natasha stripped of pretense. The cold precision of the assassin was replaced by the quiet resilience of someone who had lost almost everything. Her loyalty to her friends, particularly Clint Barton, became the emotional core of her final act. The Wormia mission, a race against time to retrieve the Soul Stone, forced her to make the ultimate sacrifice. Choosing her own death so Clint could live was not simply a heroic gesture, but the culmination of her life's journey. The former weapon giving herself entirely for someone else's future. Her death in Endgame resonated far beyond the screen, sparking debates among fans and critics alike. In the comics, Natasha's mortality has always been more fluid. She has been presumed dead, resurrected, and reinvented multiple times. But the MCU chose to make her sacrifice definitive, a moment that anchored the emotional weight of the entire Infinity Saga. It was a choice that, while controversial, perfectly encapsulated the themes of redemption, agency, and self-determination that defined her story. Beyond the films, Marvel's Black Widow solo movie 2021 expanded on the gaps in her history, revealing more about her family ties, both real and chosen. The introduction of Yelena Belova in both the film and in comic lore added a successor of sorts, a younger operative who inherited Natasha's skills, but with her own rebellious edge. Their dynamic mirrored Natasha's own evolution, the transformation from pawn to player, from tool to strategist, from survivor to leader. In comic arcs such as Black Widow, the ties that bind. Natasha's later years are marked by an increased awareness of her legacy. She begins to question not only the missions she takes, but also the lives she impacts indirectly, the civilians caught in the crossfire, the allies drawn into her dangerous orbit, the enemies whose destruction leaves power vacuums for worse threats. Her actions become as much about building something lasting as they are about stopping immediate dangers. The complexity of her character lies in this duality, the assassin and the protector, the pragmatist and the idealist, the woman haunted by her past yet determined to shape her own destiny. In both comics and film, Natasha Romanoff's presence is defined by moments where she stands on the razor's edge, making choices others cannot bear to face. Whether walking away from a mission to save a single life or taking on impossible odds alone, she remains one of Marvel's most human heroes, precisely because her heroism is born from choice, not obligation. By the time her journey approached its conclusion, Natasha had become more than an Avenger or a spy. She was a symbol of survival, of the power to redefine oneself in the face of insurmountable odds. Her sacrifices were never about glory. They were about ensuring the people she cared for had the chance to live the lives she never could. And, in that, Natasha Romanoff's story transcended the world of espionage and superhuman battles, becoming a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. Even after her death in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Natasha Romanoff's shadow looms large over every story that follows. Her absence is as deeply felt as her presence once was, a constant reminder that the victories the Avengers achieved came at a personal cost. In the comics, where death is rarely permanent, her return in various forms continues to reinforce her role as a central figure in the Marvel mythos. But in film, her sacrifice stands as a fixed point in time, unchangeable, making her one of the few heroes whose ending is both definitive and unforgettable. The Black Widow solo film offered a bittersweet gift, one last mission with Natasha before her fate in Endgame. It filled the void left by years of unanswered questions, showing not just her skill as a spy and fighter, but her vulnerability, humor, and capacity for love. The film's portrayal of her surrogate family, Yelena Belova, Alexia and Melina Vostokov added layers to her character, revealing how much of her life was shaped by bonds forged in the most unlikely of places. This narrative choice bridged her cinematic journey with her comic book origins, where found families and shifting allegiances often defined her path. In comic continuities, Natasha's story after major events like Secret Empire and Tales of Suspense, Hawkeye and the Winter Soldier showed her as a woman unwilling to stay dead for long. Sometimes she returned as herself, other times in altered forms, including the cloned version that carried on her mission while grappling with fragmented memories of her former life. This constant rebirth is symbolic. Black Widow is not defined by a single body or timeline, but by an unyielding will to fight for what she believes in, no matter the cost. Her influence on other heroes is immeasurable. Yelena, in both comics and the MCU, carries Natasha's lessons forward, sometimes resisting them, other times embracing them fully. Clint Barton's grief in Hawkeye 2021 is a direct reflection of Natasha's impact, while Steve Rogers' quiet respect for her decisions underscores her importance to the Avengers' moral compass. In the comics, she remains a mentor figure, often guiding younger heroes like the Champions and aiding the Avengers when their path grows morally gray. Natasha's legacy is also one of representation. In both comics and film, she broke away from the trope of the femme fatale to become a fully realized character whose motivations, flaws, and strengths made her relatable beyond her spy persona. She wasn't perfect, and that was her strength. She made mistakes, carried guilt, and questioned her place in the world, and yet she kept moving forward. That resilience is what elevates her above being just another hero in black leather, with an arsenal of weapons. Visually, Black Widow's evolution reflects her journey. The sleek, tactical suits of her early appearances gave way to more functional, battle-worn gear, symbolizing a woman less concerned with appearances and more focused on survival. The red hourglass emblem, subtly woven into her designs over the years, became a silent nod to her identity, a reminder that she could blend in, disappear, and yet still leave an indelible mark. Her story resonates because it is, at its core, human. Natasha Romanoff is not a god, nor a billionaire with endless resources, nor a super soldier enhanced beyond human limits. She is a person who made herself into a force capable of standing alongside gods, billionaires, and super soldiers, and sometimes surpassing them. Her legacy is not in her death, but in the countless lives she touched, saved, and inspired. In the end, Natasha Romanoff's journey across decades of comics and over a decade of films remains one of Marvel's most compelling arcs. She is proof that redemption is possible, that family can be found in the most unexpected places, and that one person's choice can change the course of the world. She may be gone in the MCU, but her spirit lives on, in every mission carried out in her name, in every ally who remembers her sacrifice, and in every fan who sees in her the truth she lived by, that it's not the past that defines you, but the choices you make moving forward.